welcome everyone to the IESE Tech Club. Joining us today, we have Sindhu, Letty, Ben, Tom, and I want you guys to actually introduce yourselves very briefly if you can, so people know you guys. Let's start with the incoming president, Sindhu.
Cool. Thanks, Diego, for setting all of this up. Wouldn't have happened without you. I come from a background in tech, so I actually come from consulting. The first 4 years of my career I spent in consulting, pivoted to startups and did largely product roles within startups and chief of staff roles in super early stage startups before doing the MBA. At the MBA, I think I've been engaged with the Tech Club since day zero. 2 people on this call are my favorite people from like day zero. So that's been awesome. This summer, I'll be headed to Amazon for my internship in like a week or so. So I'm also looking forward to that. The reason I ran for the Tech Club, like just for a little bit of background, is all of the work that had been done before and the potential Letty and I saw in sort of building it together. We also feel like there are a lot of people who have interest in tech at IESE, and that's who we want to keep building for.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Sindhu, you've covered quite a lot of what we want to keep doing in the Tech Club. I think there's a lot of potential. Tom and Ben have done a stellar job in running this club in the past year, and I feel like I've gotten so much out of it. But yeah, my background, I also come from the startup world. I have 5 years of experience at a food tech startup. I've been sort of all over the world and in a bunch of different roles. Started off in operations, and then I was in the analytics team. Moved to Barcelona actually before the MBA, and I was working with the Spanish team at the startup. And yeah, I decided to pivot my career, join the IESE MBA. And now, after 1 year, I'm at Itaú Bank in Brazil, and I'm within the responsible AI department. So I'm excited for all the learnings to come, and I'm excited also to everything that we're going to build over the next year for the Tech Club.
My name's Ben. I was, along with Tom, a co-president of the Tech Club. I was, to be completely honest, a little dissatisfied with the way that opportunities in the technology industry were communicated to me in my first year, and saw a big opportunity to change things and try and broaden the tent and myth bust a lot of people's preconceived conceptions about what working in tech could look like. We made some changes, but I don't think we went nearly far enough, and I'm excited to see where Letty and Sindhu can carry the torch, solidify some of the initiatives we started, and then really expand and accelerate beyond this, and to also show that you don't have to be a white English guy to run the Tech Club.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't agree with Ben more. We chatted about it quite a lot as we were coming to the end of our first year, about where we felt the Tech Club had kind of let us down, and like a lot of the options that we had no idea were there. It seemed to us like the presentation was a little bit kind of Amazon or bust, and we wanted to kind of change that perception, and I think we got the ball rolling, but there's a lot more of that can be done. In terms of background, I actually started training as an accountant, got my chartered accountancy, and then I moved to an AI startup in London in the finance role, which I think is one of the ones that's very underrepresented for MBAs. But it's something that I talked about quite a lot during my second year at time as co-president. I'm now looking more towards like strategy and very early stage startups. But yeah, always in the tech sector. It's just where the most interesting stuff is happening.
Definitely. Thank you, Tom. The outgoing presidents, let's go back to this year. What do you guys would say is the thing you enjoy the most? What stood out the proudest accomplishment for you guys?
I'm happy to go first, Ben. For me, like ultimately, what I enjoyed the most was just the sense of community. Everybody at IESE in general, but I found especially kind of in the tech space, was really willing to share their experiences, to help out, to provide advice to those who are seeking to do something they'd already done, and therefore anyone who was seeking advice would find it. And I think this kind of comes into the kind of preconceptions that people had when as we felt that we were able to open up what people's understanding of what tech roles could be, especially for MBAs. I found that a lot more people came forward and would be like, oh yeah, I did that for like 3 years. And so I'm happy to explain it to everyone. And we never got like responses from people which was like, no, sorry, I don't have time. It was always absolutely, let's find a good moment. You know, that was my most enjoyable part of it. And then on the accomplishment side, it's actually an area that Ben took the lead in when we were presidents. But getting the mentorship program up and running, which we didn't have before. When we were first years, there literally wasn't one. There was no mentorship under the tech program at all. And so getting that up and running for at the very least for structured tech applications like Amazon or Infosys or the Samsung GSG, like I thought that was our best accomplishment for our year in control.
To add to what Tom said, and I agree with a lot of it, for me, I think while mentoring, while community events, while like knowledge sharing were like pillars of the tech club and will always be important. I think for me, when I focused on like what my North Star was, if I did one thing and nothing else, it was to try and help improve recruitment outcomes in the tech industry. Maybe consulting is by far the strongest, but there's no reason why tech shouldn't have the second widest placement. It's really hard to quantify how well we accomplished that goal, but I sense in the structured programs at least, and potentially outside of that too, we did get better numbers than last year. Again, really hard to prove that, but again, it's not like a vanity metric. It's if we helped even one person get an internship or job through some of the events that we did, then it was all worth it.
I want to start with the incoming presidents. So Letty, Sindhu, what would you say was one moment in this year that you would say the Tech Club helped you connect with peers, with second years, alumni in a meaningful way, and it was through the club?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, there's a series of events, like especially throughout the first term, where we got to learn about where people were interning, what their background was. And so they were kind of like small sessions covering specific roles. That for me was just absolutely eye-opening. And it also gave me a chance to put more faces to names and like approach the second years. And I even had like a couple coffee chats after those sessions, which were really helpful for me in like putting some direction in my career post MBA. And I think those were really great because it kind of it was a first exposure to the IESE Tech Club community.
I completely agree. I think if the goal of the outgoing presidents was to put the message out there that there are tech jobs, that was the message to which Letty and I walked in. So I walked onto the campus knowing that there are different kinds of roles you can do in tech, and this is where a bunch of people had already interned. For me, I think the absolute highlight was the people. I resonate with what Tom said. Everyone in the Tech Club has been just absolutely very warm and very informal in a very helpful way. I did do my CV review with a bunch of the second years, but there was a lot of warmth in the entire process, which I think is maybe a little reflective of the industry as well. Some of my closest friends now are from the Tech Club. In our final event, we had so many people walking up at the end of the year party and talking about what a great year they've had. Letty and I became friends because of the Tech Club. So I think in terms of community and network, the people are what were my biggest highlight in the past year.
Thank you, Sindhu. And let's touch on that point again. Tom, I want to ask you, what would you say it's the thing, or maybe the moments that make this club a more supportive and collaborative club? I don't know if more than the rest, but at least that's part of our spirit. Do you remember any moment that you would say that's a moment that represents that a lot?
I mean, so there are a lot of the different formal moments, like more formal moments. I remember meeting with my mentees and kind of talking about what their plans are and reading their CVs and helping them figure out who they should be talking to. And that was really fun, really kind of collaborative, and actually having a couple of leads on my own job hunt from the people who were in my mentorship group. So like that was great. I would say like on a more like informal level, just like the kind of level of everybody kind of getting on and doing right by each other. It's a slightly odd memory, but it was, Ben, I'm not sure if you remember this, but our very first Tech Club leadership event where I was hosting at my flat, and then I was horribly ill, and I like literally developed symptoms about an hour before everybody got there. So I was in a dressing gown and pajamas drinking a cup of tea while I had the entire Tech Club leadership sitting in my living room doing like a Kahoot quiz. And actually, like, everyone was really nice, and like we all just kind of got on, and actually I felt like I didn't feel bad for like sitting there and not really wanting to say very much. And so that, it kind of made me realize that it was much more than just like, okay, we're all kind of working together as colleagues. Like, we actually all really got on, and we just wanted to like have a good time and get some great things kind of done.
Can I actually add something before you move on, Diego? I think I missed saying it, but I've said it a lot on campus. The absolute highlight for me with the Tech Club was the trek to London. I was on the first trek, which is where, again, I think it comes early on enough in the year that you're able to make friends. And you're also, like, my entire work experience was in India, right? So I didn't really know what the companies were like in London, in Europe, what the culture was like, what they were building. I think if Amazon had not worked out, I was very committed to stalking and hounding the founder of Wise to get an internship with them. And I think that sort of was a big deal for me starting the year.
Yeah, let me just add to that. The Tech Club trek that I did in my first term of first year was one of my favorite moments of the entire MBA. So completely agree. Both on a professional and on a personal level, it's a big thing.
Let's talk about growing and learning and the other side that the club brings you. And I want to start with you, Ben. I think many people don't actually know, or they're not aware of what tech roles and sectors are around. So there's something very intimidating about the tech industry. How would you say the Tech Club can help you demystify that? And what are the benefits from this club that many other clubs may not have?
Well, I think let's start with the fact that the technology industry is the largest industry in the world. And it's probably the most innovative and the fastest changing, which is both exciting, but it also means that it's probably even more important to join a club where you can keep a track of these changes. I think when people come to the Tech Club information session at the beginning of the year, if you polled people, about 90% of people maybe would say, I'm interested in being a product manager in big tech, or I am interested in doing strategy and operations at a tech company. And while those are great paths, and they do exist at places like Amazon with structured MBA internships and jobs, there's just so much more than that. And I think we're selling ourselves short if we only focus on that. And those two paths are also shrinking. And so it's also really important for people to know that, like, yes, that exists. And if that's what you really, really want to do and you've researched all the other options, then great. But it's really important to try and think about where you would sit, not just because it's prestigious or you've heard of it before. And I would say there's like there's every function at a tech company. You need someone to do FP&A or be a financial controller like Tom was in tech. You need someone to work in HR in tech. You need marketers, product marketers, who are increasingly, that is the strategy role at most SaaS companies, is the product marketing function. You need people in sales. You need people in solution consulting, solution engineering, value consulting. These are functions most people have no idea that exist, but are really lucrative paths for people from coming from an MBA background. And we try and do a lot of myth busting. Like, there is so much more than this. There is so much more than big tech. I did Amazon as my first year internship. I really enjoyed the internship. I liked the team I worked on. I learned a lot of best practices. Amazon's one of the best run companies in the world. But I'm deciding to join a early stage B2B SaaS company that no one will have heard of. And I'm delighted for that. And I think I have more progression opportunity there. So I think most people would say, like, why would you join an early stage company when Amazon, this big prestigious company, comes? Well, because there are just so many good opportunities in tech, and you have to find what fits you and what interests you the most. And for most people, if you're doing it right, that will look different for everyone. And so I guess the first step of like joining the Tech Club is to sort of unshackle yourselves from these preconceptions and be open to everything.
Thank you, Ben. Letty, I want to ask you, in the past year, did you have any experience that you felt like the club expanded your learning beyond what you brought from before, beyond what you learned from classes?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna repeat myself with what we've spoken already, but the trek was a absolutely eye-opening experience for me. We visited companies who had like less than 50 people, had never heard of the company before, and they were doing great, to large companies that owned an entire building in London, or multiple buildings in London. And that for me was just so incredibly valuable. It's an experience that I would have never gotten in a classroom. And everyone that hosted us was so welcoming and so open to having like a one-to-one conversation, speaking about my specific career journey. How would I go about if I were to join your company? What do I need to do? And this is one of the things that we speak a lot of in the Tech Club, is actually like bridging the skills gap. I know that many of the people coming into the Tech Club don't actually come from tech, and this can actually feel very daunting and like an impossible task, pivoting into tech. And this is one of the things that we that Ben and Tom have focused on, and that we really want to focus on this year as well, is like providing people with upskilling opportunities. So for example, last year we started this a little bit with having a SQL course, and as Ben was speaking of product marketing, what is that? What kind of skills do you need if you want to go into that? And so we want to provide people with guidance moving into the roles that they now know, this is the career that I want to follow. I'm at A, I want to get to B. How do I get there? This is the guidance that we want to provide people, and also the tools for them to get there.
Thank you, Letty. And I wanna go to a point that it's kind of related to what you're saying. Let's go to a third main topic, which is pathways. I think as many skills that you can learn through the club and outside the club even, there are also many aspirations and careers that many people are pursuing, and maybe they don't even know all the ones that are possible. And I want to go back to Tom's point, and Tom, this question is for you. How do you think the Tech Club can support you in exploring this different career paths in big tech and startups and finance and many others that people may not think of?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and essentially, it comes down to two things. So there's the kind of obvious tech stuff, which is what we've talked about a lot. There's the Amazon path, which is the most obvious. But there are other big tech companies where you can figure out lots of different roles that you could do that. But then there's the unstructured side as well. So there's the structured side where you've got tech companies with MBA kind of leadership programs, and then you've got the unstructured side. And the trick is firstly, if you're aware of the different types of roles and you understand what they are and what skills you need for them, you can find which role you like, and that makes it a lot easier to do the second step, which is essentially just you got to network the absolute hell out of it. But the best thing about being in IESE and being in the IESE Tech Club is that I can guarantee you, no matter what you're thinking of, there's someone either in your year or second year, or maybe an incoming first year when you're a second year, who has done or is doing or wants to do also what you are looking to do, and you can either collaborate with them or you can learn from them. And so the tech club brings everybody together, and so you'll go to one of the early sessions which explains exactly what product marketing is, right? And you'll be like, I actually would really like to do that for a Series B tech startup. And then you'll be explaining that to a friend, and another friend will overhear and be like, that's what I was doing for the last 2 years, right? And then you can get a lot of info from them, and then you know exactly what to expect, and then you just start reaching out to people on LinkedIn and using the alumni network. So I think you use the sessions early on to really figure out what it is that you think you would be best at and that you would enjoy, and then you deep dive into that by starting with networking. So you got to talk to people, you got to go to all of the talks and events that the club itself will put on, not just because the speaker could be really interesting on that particular point, but because you'll run into more people in the audience there that might be the person that you're looking for, who can help you get where you need to go, and there'll always be something that person could get from you in return as well. So that I would say is the best way to kind of approach it, understanding that there are different career paths, and then how to land the one that you want.
Thank you, Tom. And I want to ask Sindhu, on the other side of that coin, as a Tech Club member during the last year, you landed a great opportunity with Amazon. How did the Tech Club help you prepare or feel confident about your tech journey?
Okay, I have to be completely honest here, but I am a startups person through and through. So I came into the MBA thinking I want to build my own tech company, and how do I do that? So what the Tech Club did early on was push me out of that idea and make me look at the internship as a sandbox. And that's what the internship still is to me. It's a sandbox. I've never done a big tech corporate job in my life. I'm not counting consulting, but I've not done that before. So what the club sort of opened up for me was to look at my internship as, oh, do I want to try something that I would otherwise never do, and see if that's for me. So luckily it worked out for me. And specific to how it worked out for me, I think for Amazon, we had a lot of support within the system. We were mapped to buddies. There were so many of us applying, so there were enough of us to take mocks for each other. Like, there were so many of my classmates who've taken mocks for me, so many of the second years who've done that for me, and so many of my classmates I've taken mocks for. So many people who probably looked through my CV, then I know looked through it, and I was really nitpicky about, are you sure this word is okay? Are you sure I'm phrasing it the right way? And he was really patient with me throughout that process. And I think with respect to the structured recruitment, that's something that was a highlight for me. Both of the mocks I did with Damini and Ben, I think, were top tier. The second thing that was helpful was just knowing that there are so many other things to do. I think the pressure was really off for me with Amazon. I did not look at it as a do or die. I looked at it as, oh, I'm a startups person and I want to do something different in the internship. So does it work out? Fantastic. Does it not work out? That's also okay. I know I already have something I like. So I was like, hey, it's not the end of the world if I don't get this internship, you know? So what the club did, to summarize, I think, was to do a really good job at taking the pressure off and seeing that there are a lot of cool companies. So I was very prepared to network and do those outreach messages. I'd actually reached out to a couple of professors about it already. I'd gone on the trek. So it helped me put myself out there and see what in this geography are things within tech that I have not done and look interesting to me.
Let's look now at the future, the fourth and last topic, which is ahead and for the people, incoming students, getting involved in the club. So Ben, I want to ask you, how do you envision the incoming first year students in the role of shaping the tech club, especially when we think about making the tech club more global, more recognized, and helping IESE being recognized as a tech strong program, if you can say that?
Well, I don't want to steal Letty and Sindhu's thunder, but I think the second years will have a big role in shaping the initiatives and priorities of the year, and the leadership team especially. But the first years are really the core and like beating heart of professional clubs, in my view. It's just true that in the second year, people start to disengage a little bit. You get half the people will be mentors and advocates and really helpful in the club, and then half will say, you know what, I'm no longer interested in this industry, or actually I've got a job and I don't need this anymore. And that's okay, and that's normal, and it'll happen every year. So if I were a first year, I would say join 3 or 4 clubs. Unless you're sure that you want tech or you're sure you want something else, I would say join 3 or 4 clubs, but one of them should be Tech Club, because it is the biggest industry. Every company is increasingly a tech company. AI, machine learning, new technology, new ways of connectivity and access are reshaping healthcare, energy, consulting, financial markets, everything. And so you have to keep a foot in the tech sector, in my view. And there's so many opportunities, good opportunities, both at the internship and full time, that you will hear about through the Tech Club. I would say go on a track. This year, the November one, which is the most popular one, is in London. And then we did 2 different tracks for both first and second years in Berlin and in Barcelona. And it might stay the same, it might be different next year, but those tracks are great ways to make new friends, to meet people with like-minded interests, and to just have fun in a foreign city together. I went to Amsterdam in November. I didn't do the tech track in my first year because I kind of knew the tech industry quite well. And I met people that and had amazing times in that city that I'm now still really good friends with, and it's a must do, in my opinion, one of the tracks, whether it's Tech Club or another one. And just get involved and meet people, and you don't have to stay engaged throughout the whole first year, but but definitely show up to at least a few things and see if it's for you.
Now for the incumbent presidents, Lady Sindhu, this is a moment for you to share your vision for the club, the key priorities, what are you thinking, and how are you planning to keep this club being the most engaging, the highest value community, if you can say that?
Well, I think, Diego, we have a big shout out to you because we know you'll be organizing a lot of our community events. You've brought such great energy already. And that's like a lot of what we want to bring is just for us to, have fun together, network, talk about our experiences. We have an incredible group of people already, and with the incoming class, I know we're going to have even more great people that we can share and learn from. But yeah, Sindhu and I have had a lot of fun putting this vision together. And also like putting the VP team together. It's been like such an incredible journey, and yeah, we really want to focus on like providing people with the right support for recruiting. I know this can be extremely overwhelming. I myself was falling to pieces during the recruiting process, trying to keep sane and keep up with classes. I know it's going to be a lot, but what we want to say is like the Tech Club is here to provide with all the support that you guys need navigating these incredibly choppy waters. And also, once you find your path, how can we help you guys go from point A to point B? So providing with upskilling sessions, providing networking opportunities. We really want to grow the opportunities for us to connect even within IESE, not just outside, but then also growing our connection with more and more companies, not only in Barcelona, but in London. We've already done the trek there. We want to keep fostering those connections. So that's a little bit of what we want to bring this year. I don't know, Sindhu, if you want to add a little bit of your 2 cents as well.
I love letting Letty go first to answer these questions because it just makes me feel so happy that we're on the same page all the time, no matter what. And I think it's a testament to show how many times we've talked about it throughout our first year and right now about what we do. But to answer the question about key priorities, I think the first priority would be to just engage the first years. We believe that we lucked out with an absolutely fantastic VP team. We were overwhelmed with so many fantastic applications. And that was because of the reputation the Tech Club already had on campus. That was because of the events and the help that they had already gotten that made them want to give back. So for me, like a big priority would be to make sure that that community spirit continues to live within the club. The second would be, I think, having a really clear set of priorities. I think this might sound as Letty and me both being very type A, but we were very clearly thinking about what do we want to do in the first term. So to outline that a little bit for all of the members to be, in the first term, we want to focus a lot on community and upskilling. In the second term, we want to focus a lot on upskilling and recruitment. And the third term, of course, will be having a little bit of fun and recruitment. So we want to, that's the overarching plan. But the goal within that plan is to get you from point A to point B, like Letty said. So whether you're somebody like me who looks at the internship as a sandbox and wants to experiment with something new, or whether you're someone like Letty who's very clear and like came with a specific skill set, wanted to be in that space for the rest of her career, we want to help all kinds of people within the club. I keep going back to what Ben said early on quite often, which is you should join 3 or 4 clubs, but Tech Club should absolutely be on your list. And that's because it is most people's second option on campus. So folks who look at consulting also look at tech, folks who look at finance also look at tech. We take that as a compliment. So, and we want to be able to cater to most people on campus and deliver on their expectations of us.
So before we close, I would like to ask each one of you the final piece of advice that you have for the incoming students. Let's go with the outgoing presidents first. Tom?
I think that fundamentally what my advice comes down to is to keep an open mind. So keep an open mind with respect to tech and what's out there within tech, the different roles. Keep an open mind with respect to what you might want to do with your internship, what you might want to do after you leave. Keep an open mind as to whether or not a event or a speaker could be interesting to you. You never know what might happen when you show up. And yeah, like it's, tech is so pervasive that you don't have to be like, oh, I'm committed to tech specifically. I mean, it's been mentioned quite a few times, join other clubs and stuff. So keep an open mind on all of those things. And I think that that's how you'll get the most out of your, not just the tech club, but your MBA, especially your first year of your MBA.
I definitely think keep an open mind is a great piece of advice. The second thing I would add to that maybe is just like say yes to things. Like join clubs, especially early on. It's going to be super important. It's going to be overwhelming. There's so many things going on, so many new people, but just make sure that you show up to things. There's really no reason not to, especially in those early months of first year. Go to information sessions, go to company visits, go to Q&A sessions, go to everything. Sign up, like be busy. Whether you'll find that lots of people who come in wanting to do tech, some people, like Sindhu said, like want consulting, but then tech falls in there, like as something they look at in February. And then some people want to work in finance, but actually end up working in fintech or responsible business. But then actually they see that there's a carbon tech company that we're visiting on the trek. And so this is kind of the middle club from which all other domains converge. And so be involved in the tech club and be open to different things and just get involved and pay it forward to the community.
I think, and this is going to be like a difficult piece of advice, God knows I've struggled with it, but try and focus, I think, on your own journey and your own path. Tech recruitment happens in the very end. So it's very easy to feel a little bit anxious and see that, oh, I don't have a plan and everyone already knows where they're going to be in the summer. So try and fight that a little bit. And to add to that, I think networking is about giving first. And it's something that's been reinforced to me so many times at IESE. So like when you do these coffee chats, when you're speaking to your students, people from other sections, other years, focus on what you can offer to them as well. And like, instead of going in with an ask and saying, hey, can you look at my CV with like 5 different people, focus on saying, hey, I'm really interested in agri-tech. And I see you've worked in it. Can we talk about that? And I'm happy to talk about health tech, for example. So I would say focus on like giving back and what your own journey should be.
So I think my piece of advice is going to be a little bit of a mix of what everyone said so far, but I would say take the time to draw your own journey. Like take the time to explore, take the time to understand what you like really just explore, go to things, be open to what every possible experience can offer you. And then from there, try and understand how that fits into what you want for your future. And then like prioritize from then on. But I absolutely hate myself for saying this because it's something that you will hear a lot coming into IESE, but it is unfortunately to trust the process. I know I roll my eyes every time I hear it, but it's also like, know that everything is going to be okay. Like it's going to feel chaotic. The pressure of the first term, like Sindhu was saying, people are going to start getting offers in November and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get a job. That's not how it goes. If you're going to work at a startup, it's very likely that you're going to get an offer during finals week in May. That's fine. That's your own journey. So trust that you're in your own path and whatever happens to you is what is right for you.
Guys, I want to say in the name of the Tech Club, thank you to all our presidents for their valuable insights. And for our viewers, the Tech Club is it's here to be your launchpad into the tech world. So we encourage all incoming students to join us, to join the events, attend the events as Ben said, and actively participate because that's how you shape this community. So thank you.